Welcome to Fun Facts Daily, your source for just the good stuff. Monday through Friday, we're bringing fun facts and news you can use, all carefully curated to uplift and inform. So give yourself a break, relax, and learn something awesome in just a few minutes every day. Hi everyone, I'm Kyle.
I'm Atticus.
And I'm Philly.
While every episode of Fun Facts Daily is clean and appropriate for listeners of all ages, on the first Friday of every month, I like to make a special Family Fun Friday with my kids co-hosting as we explore a topic they love and hopefully you and your family will too.
Today we'll be learning all about the game Monopoly.
Monopoly is a fun board game and a good learning opportunity. As a teacher, I know thinking critically is an important part of learning. It's a mental workout to help keep your brain strong and healthy.
So before we get into the facts, let's warm up our brains with a little challenge to see if you can tell fact from fiction.
Consider this. In the game of Monopoly, people win through shrewd investment and accumulating properties. But some say it was actually created by a woman who wanted to show just how bad monopolies could be. Then Charles Darrow took credit for her game and made a fortune for himself based on her intellectual property. It sounds wild, and the irony is amazing. But could it be true?
We'll find out at the end of the episode. Our word of the day is monopoly.
Monopoly is when one person or company has exclusive control over a supply or trade in a commodity or service. Think about the game. The goal is to own all the properties of a certain color or all the railroads, so you have a monopoly on them and can charge other players higher rent. The word monopoly comes from two Greek words, monos, meaning single, and polion, meaning to sell. So it literally means one single seller. In the real world, monopolies can have a big impact. If one company is the only one selling something people need, they might charge very high prices or not offer as many choices because there's no competition. That's why many countries have laws to promote fair competition and to prevent any single company from having too much power. When there is a monopoly allowed, there are often regulations and oversight to make sure it stays fair for everyone. The game Monopoly signifies this big economic idea, allowing us to experience what it's like to build up that kind of control on the game board, and it helps us understand why balance and fairness are important in the real economy too. Now for your daily high five, our top 5 fun facts about Monopoly.
Number 1. Monopoly was once used to help prisoners of war, or POWs, escape during World War II.
This is an incredible story. During World War II, the British Secret Intelligence Service worked with Waddington's, the company licensed to make Monopoly in the UK. They created special Monopoly editions that were sent by fake charities to the Allied prisoners of war in German camps. These weren't ordinary games. Hidden inside the boards or game pieces were escape maps printed on silk so they wouldn't rustle, small compasses, real money, German, French, and Italian currency, and small metal files. It's estimated that thousands of POWs were able to escape thanks to these cleverly disguised tools.
Number 2. The longest Monopoly game ever lasted for 70 whole days.
Can you imagine playing a game of Monopoly for that long? According to Hasbro, the company that makes Monopoly, the longest game on record went for 70 straight days. That's almost 2.5 months. Most games of Monopoly usually last a few hours, but with determined players, they can stretch on. Factors like how many people are playing, house rules, and sheer luck with the dice can all affect the game's length.
Number 3. The familiar game pieces, or tokens, weren't always part of Monopoly, and some early ones were inspired by everyday objects.
When Monopoly was first sold in the 1930s by Parker Brothers, it didn't initially come with tokens. Players were encouraged to use buttons or charms from around their homes. Charles Darrow, who patented and sold his version of Monopoly, reportedly suggested his nieces use charms from their charm bracelets. Later, die-cast metal tokens were introduced, and some of the original iconic pieces, including the iron, purse, lantern, race car, thimble, shoe, top hat, and rocking horse. Over the years, tokens have been added and retired, some by popular vote from the fans.
Number 4. The properties on the classic U.S. Monopoly board are named after real streets in Atlantic City, New Jersey.
That's right. Charles Darrow vacationed in Atlantic City, New Jersey, and he named properties in his game after actual streets and locations there. So Boardwalk, Park Place, and Marvin Gardens, which is actually misspelled. In the game, it's Marvin, but in Atlantic City, it's Marven, Gardens. But all of these spots are places you could visit in the real world. This connection to an actual city added a layer of realism and charm to the game. It's fun to think that as you're buying up properties on the board, you're navigating a miniature version of a real American seaside resort town.
Our fifth and final fun fact. There are hundreds of different versions of Monopoly, including one made of chocolate.
It's true. Since its official launch, Monopoly has become a global phenomenon, and Hasbro has licensed and produced thousands of different editions. There are versions for different cities around the world, versions themed after popular movies like Star Wars or Disney characters, sports team, and even historical events. And yes, there has even been an entirely edible chocolate version of Monopoly. Of course, you'd have to be careful not to eat all your properties before the game's over. This incredible variety shows just how adaptable and beloved the core game mechanics of Monopoly are. Time for some news you can use.
Want some good tips for playing Monopoly? Try to get all the railroads and aim for the orange properties.
That's right. Owning all 4 railroads is powerful. The rent jumps significantly with each railroad you own, up to $200 if you have all 4. This gives you a steady income without needing to buy houses or hotels. Second, while you should focus on buying all the properties you can early in the game, the orange and red properties can be among the best investments. This is because statistics tell us that these are landed on most frequently. The orange spaces are about 6 to 9 spaces after the jail square, and players often land there after getting out of jail.
Once you have a full color set, you want to start building as quickly as you can to collect more rent. The thing is, just like investing in real life, you want to be strategic about how you can get the best return on investment, which means make the most money from every dollar you spend. While hotels collect the most rent, they're also very expensive to put up. A good rule of thumb is to build 3 houses quickly on each property of a completed color set. The rent usually makes its biggest jump when you go from 2 to 3 houses. For example, on New York Avenue, the rent goes from $90 with 2 houses to a whopping $250 with 3 houses. That makes a huge increase and can really put the pressure on your opponents. Putting 3 houses on multiple color sets will often work out better than 1 hotel in a single spot, because while you won't collect quite as much money from a player landing on the 3 house space, you will have more opportunities to collect. In the long run, having multiple moderate investments usually works out better than betting it all on a big payout from a single space. And here's one more tip that may seem a little strange. Don't be afraid to go to jail. Now, this is true in the game, not in life, but going to jail, especially later in the game, can be a decent strategy. Early on, you want to be out and about buying properties. But once the board is mostly owned and developed with houses and hotels, staying in jail can be a safe haven. You can still collect rent, but you avoid landing on other players' expensive properties. So while you generally don't want to be in jail, it's smart to weigh your options before deciding to pay to get out early. Now, the moment you've been waiting for. At the beginning of the episode, we asked if it was true that the original idea for Monopoly was actually created by a woman trying to show that monopolies are a bad thing.
So, what's the answer? Was Charles Darrow the original inventor?
Or did a woman come up with it first?
This one is wild, but totally true. It's a fact. The game we know as Monopoly has its roots in a game called the Landlord's Game, patented in 1904 by a woman named Elizabeth Lizzie Magie. Lizzie Magie was a follower of Henry George, an economist who believed in a single land tax and was against land monopolism. She designed the Landlord's Game to demonstrate the economic ill effects of land grabbing and to show how rents enriched property owners and impoverished tenants. She actually designed two sets of rules in her game, an anti-monopolist set in which all were rewarded when wealth was created, and a monopolist set where the goal was to create monopolies and crush opponents. Her stated hope was that players would see the unfairness of the monopolist rules and choose the other set. Charles Darrow learned to play a version of this game, adapted it, and sold it to Parker Brothers as Monopoly, eventually making a fortune. While Darrow popularized it, Lizzie Magie was the true innovator, and her original intent was quite different from the wealth accumulation game we play today. In 1935, Parker Brothers realized that Darrow had based his game on Lizzie Magie's. They bought her patent for the Landlord's Game for just $500. This would be the equivalent of about $11,000 in today's money. This was not a bad payday for Lizzie Magie, but it turned out to be an incredible investment for Parker Brothers, now Hasbro. While it's hard to calculate exactly how much money the game has generated for Hasbro, it is safe to say that over the decades, it has earned billions of dollars. For a long time, Lizzie Magie's contribution was largely overlooked, and Charles Darrow was widely celebrated as the sole inventor. Thankfully, due to the work of historians and researchers in recent decades, Lizzie Magie's story and her crucial role in the invention of the iconic game are now becoming much more widely known and appreciated.
I hope you enjoyed learning about Monopoly with us.
And be sure to tune in every weekday for more fun facts.
Fun Facts Daily is an Airwave Media podcast. It was written, recorded, mixed, and edited by us, Kyle, Atticus, and Philly. Thanks for sharing a part of your day with us. Be sure to follow Fun Facts Daily on your favorite podcast app so you can keep the good stuff coming your way every day. And if you like the show, please do me a favor and leave a kind rating, review, or just tell your friends about it.